Registered voters hit 7 million in Lagos. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Equa Television. We look at stories making headlines on our papers, including the sporting world. And just a reminder, Equa TV celebrates 4 years of God's faithfulness on the 30th of July 2022. And on 31st, we have a concert still in thanking God for the many blessings he is doing in Equa TV. And the concert and also the dinner is also his fundraising, seeking out for 100 million naira. With your support, we can do this to take the station to a greater realm. Thank you very much. I am Owolabi Tosin and I'll be doing this alongside with Sele Elisha. Good morning, Sele.
Morning, Tosin.
Thank you very much. What do you have to say about the concert and also the fundraising dinner?
You know, the fundraising dinner, even though we've started ever since, even on National Talk last week Friday, where we had some management staff that had to, shed more light on the reason why we need 100 million. Because, when you ask people for money, definitely they want you to be accountable for every penny. And the management staff were able to, open up, expatiate on what we need the money for. And also the people that have been in attendance, because we have very top politicians that will be there, people who we have invited over to come help us raise this 100 million. And with faith we are hoping to raise even over the 100 million naira, because the general manager also said the fact that the money that's been realized on that day will let our viewers, our supporters to know, and also what we'll be needing additionally to be able to build the studio we need, the trucks and many other, even to look at the welfare of the staffs and many other things that we'll be needing. And also looking at the concert, which you rightly mentioned, is to actually appreciate God. And we'll be having great sons and daughters of God that will be coming to render music to God. We have the likes of Eljo from Kaduna, we have Deborah and Micah from Abuja, we'll have Evangel Art here from Jos, and many other people that will be in attendance. So this is a way of letting people know that this is really a way for us to appreciate God. So come on that day. So we'll be hoping that our viewers will be there, our supporters, because we'll be live on Facebook, we'll also be live on Equa Television TV and even on YouTube. So we are telling them to come one, come all, tell a friend to tell another friend that we'll be having that concert and also the dinner.
Yes, and also the fundraising dinner won't just end on that day, it still extends to the end of this year. So just look out and solicit for your fund and contribution on the Equa Television on how we can get more studio equipment and even more workforce for the gospel of God. I know we appreciate our supporters that have been supporting us all through, and we know that we've never disappointed you and will not disappoint you. Just do more and keep supporting towards the cause of the gospel. Looking at the Punch newspaper, I would like to start with the Punch newspaper, Sele. And on the Punch newspaper, we have blackout looms as electricity workers join NLC protest. And we know concerning this Labour Congress protest, where the Labour Congress said they are going to protest on a solidarity protest for the ASU that have been on strike right from the 14th of February. And now we see this blackout. It's as a way of the electricity workers joining the protest. Well, we know we've been having issue with our electricity, the power grid. We had last week, we had the shutdown of the power grid, but now we are seeing that they are joining hands with the Labour Congress for a solidarity protest for the ASU strike, the lingering strike. I'll say yes, we need to join hands with our sister bodies on ways they can go back to work, because they're not just on this strike, but even their salaries are not being paid. And now we see that the Academic Staff Union of Universities said the lingering strike will not end until responsible and responsive people are in government. You see that they look at their arrears, their allowances that have not been paid right from 2009, and now we see that up to 9 years, some of their allowances have not been paid. So we just hope that something will be done about it, not just for the academic staff union, even the students are affected, because when two elephants fight, the grass is the one that suffers. The students are also suffering it because they've been at home for this long. So we just hope that something will be done. Since other bodies, other sectors are joining hands for those protests, we just hope that the government will be proactive on ways that this strike can be called off very soon. Although they gave the 2 weeks ultimatum, the president said in 2 weeks time the strike should be called off, but we just hope that they will meet up to adhere to all the needs of the academic staff union and they call off the strike like very soon, so that these people can go back, students can go back to school. Then talking about the power gridlock, something should be done. It should not serve as an excuse for the blackout, the power gridlock, the shutdown of the electricity gridlock, so that they would say, okay, they are trying to join Labour Congress. They should just find a lasting solution so that we will not have this issue of blackouts any longer in our country. Look out for ways we can have steady power supply in the country and even different communities and even the environs.
Yeah, so I'd like to add up, the first excuse I remember that the Minister of Power actually gave was the fact that the dams are dry. Presently, it's rainy season to see. So we need him to come out and give us a very good reason why we are still having blackouts. It's either they are telling us some of our power plants are actually going idle, or one thing or the other is not going on. I mean, Tosi, this is really sad that every look at it, our filling stations are shut down. Why? Because people cannot even afford to go buy the fuel because it's scarce at this moment. Even take a look at the Jet 1A1 right now, a liter goes for almost 1,000 naira. And this is going to even affect those that want to even, possibly get on the planes for one place or the other. Back then, you can actually, afford to be in the economic seat. But right now, how much are you going to pay? Over 70-something thousand naira just to fly a very short distance to see. Yet here we are seeing that the presidents will come out and even tell Labour not to go on protest. Why? You have the right to protest when things are not going on properly. If our ministers have refused to come out and give us tangible reasons why certain things are not working, then definitely we need to go out on the protest because we need answers. We cannot elect people into offices and yet you go there and you behave anyhow and you don't expect us to ask you for answers. Excuse me, we do ask you for questions and we need answers to that, because it's not just about us electing you into office. Just like you rightly stated here, that as we are saying, except we have people who are competent and capable, we'll keep going back and forth on strike. And that is why I'm calling on everybody to see that it is very important that you get your PVC, and not just getting your PVC, but make sure that you are not taken by sentiment or by any selfish interest that you want to elect somebody because you know him. No, elect somebody. Why? Because the person has what it takes to actually be capable of running the seat. I remember I mentioned it here to say that as a leader, if you're elected and you know that deep within you, I think it's high time we start having clear conscience. If you know you're not able to do that, with dignity, just go and resign. Let somebody that is capable of doing that, because we are tired of pampering people.
But it's very difficult for them to.
It's very difficult for them to do it. But I think somebody needs to, be responsible, because when we're talking about responsible leaders, we need somebody that will come out and say, presently as it looks, I'm handicapped as it comes to this responsibility right now. With dignity, people will applaud you. I remember when the Attorney General or actually stepped down, they say based on health challenge. Is it Attorney General?
That's the Chief
Justice. Chief Justice, sorry, thank you. When the Chief Justice resigned, they say based on health, even though people, there were talks here and there that money was not really given to the Supreme Court and all that. But he was applauded, right? The president gave him an award, the second highest. Why? Because they said he resigned with dignity. And possibly, if that is what they want, they should resign with dignity. Let us have somebody that is capable of doing this. Except we take the bull by the horn to say nothing will go on in this country. This is not just about the electricity, but take a look at every sector in Nigeria presently to see it's suffering one after the other. So I just hope that we'll rise up and do what is expected.
Yes, Ellen, rising up and doing what is expected. I will say this government is always threatened by protest, and I will say if you are threatened by protest, then you should do the right thing. We saw example in the hashtag EndSARS protest, which was a peaceful protest. It started on a peaceful ground before talks interceded where interceded in the protest, and it became something else. But if you really don't want protest, if you don't want solidarity protest, then you should do the right thing. That's why we keep on saying we have people in these sectors key people that should supersede and oversee what the affairs of the sectors, then you need to do the right thing. And if you are not capable, then wholeheartedly we resign, so that other people, we have over 200 billion people, we're still going around some certain set of people. We have other people, we have other hands that are capable. All we need is if you're not responsible, if you're not reliable for that position, then you come down wholeheartedly. Then we look out for someone who look up to those sectors and intercede in the affairs of those sectors that are affected. Still on the Punch newspaper, on financial crisis, NCAA audits distressed airlines. Marginal field operators may earn 4 trillion naira annually. And on ASU strike, varsity unions back NLC pro-lecturers protest. On the insecurity, agric importers exceed exports by 43 billion naira. Rep summons ministers BP over power plant sale. We have the big story on the Punch newspaper saying 1 hour interview. PDP challenges Tinubu again. APC says Asiwaju will floor Atiku. The rider following the story, Tinubu should subject himself to 1 hour interview. Atiku camp insists. APC spokesman is saying Atiku incapable of defeating anyone. He has nothing to offer, and this should be left to people, voters, people who will go and vote to decide on who they want to represent them come 2023. This is not for any party to decide for us. People have the right to decide for themselves, and this is a good one where we see the turn up of people, of registered voters. Like in Lagos, we have over 7 million registered voters, and we just look out to other states where they are lagging behind. Please go out in your number and get your PVC for 2023 election and even some governorship election, so you can come out and register. On the Punch, you have outrage as terrorists flog trained abductees and threaten Buhari. Details can be found in page 2. And we saw this video on Sunday morning. It was released on Sunday morning, where we saw abductees were being flogged, and they threatened that they are going to abduct the president, that's President Muhammadu Buhari, and even Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. And we know concerning this, today makes the 120 days that they have been in this den of kidnappers, as those who were abducted and along the Kaduna Abuja train, the train passengers that were abducted, and 20 of the 60 kidnapped victims have been released in batches after they paid ransom of over 100 million naira, while over 40 victims still remain in captivity. And we know they are demanding for several torture. We learned where they are exposed to reptile bites, snakes bites, scorpion bites, and the weather. This is the raining season, exposed to the rain, we're exposed to cold, and now you see that they go through different kind of torture. We just look out for ways these people can be released very soon. Just last week, President Muhammadu Buhari ordered the service chief on a security meeting. They had a security meeting on ways peace can be restored solely back to our country, and now we have this. 120 days in this den of kidnappers is no joke. We just hope that they will do something about it. Service chiefs will be proactive on ways these people can be released. Release men, send men to all this bush, so that, because I keep on saying, when these people send message across the government, you can easily track all these things. Why do we have the registration of our NIM SIM? It's for us to be able to track all these things. They should be follow up on ways these people can be released, because it's no longer a joke. People die. Some have even died as a result of the exposure to all these things, the bites they receive from the snakes, and even this torture. Something needs to be done about this for these people to be released and go back to their loved ones.
Tosi, I was unable to watch this video to the end because it's not the side that their enemy enemies of the nation. They went further to say that they are aware that the government are trying to, force their way into the forest. Now, Tosi, this tells us that they are insiders even in our security agency, because there is no how we're going to be able to overcome all this when we're still having snitches here and there. If we're not having snitches in the community, we're having snitches in the army or even in the police or even the intelligence team that we're relying on information. So something is not right somewhere, and I'm hoping that the presidency will do something about it. Yes, we've been saying they should do something about it. Why? Because we have elected them to protect life and property. That is your number one responsibility. Every other thing is secondary, and when you fail to do that, then that government is being tagged as a failed government. So I hope to see that the government will do something about it. People have come out to say maybe because right now they have said that they are going to be after top politicians, the president, even the governor of Kaduna State. We don't want it to get to that point where we hear news to be on TV that our president has been kidnapped or the governor has been kidnapped. But we are hoping that this will keep the security agency on their tool to see that. And we know that anytime they send or they say a threat, they mean every word of it. And that is why I said they are always snitches, because how are they informed about things that the government is doing? How are they informed about meetings that are held in closed doors? That is to tell us that there is somebody somewhere that is always feeding them with information. So I just hope that our intelligence team will actually double up and see what they can do. They should close up any loose end that it seems to be open up, and that is why these terrorists are having information, and they should do what is expected. Yes, they came out to tell us that they do not want to bomb the forest because we don't want to record deaths of other innocent victims. But this is what you don't want to do. Then tell us what you are ready to do, and let us see you backing your words with actions at the end of the day, because we are tired of insecurity. To you cannot go to your farm. Presently, even your loved one that you mostly rely on to, be able to go to the farm and send something over to you, they can no longer go. People now depend on, farming by their within their the house where they can easily, have it. And even that, we are not yet safe. So I just hope that we'll do more. We are not saying that the government are not doing more. We can see they are, trying their best, but we need them to do much more, and that will actually tell us that they are working.
Yes, and this brings to mind when a Catholic priest was abducted, and he said among those who abducted him, the military were among. And what did the CDS said? He said that they are going to fish out the bad eggs among the military, and up to date we are yet to see any fishing out of any bad eggs for them to go through.
Did, but we think more should be done, even though they did,
So we just need proactive measures on ways we can tackle this issue of insecurity. And still on the Punch, we have 367,499 applied for 43,717 medicine slots. This is Jamb report. Lassa fever, cholera kills 240. Experts express worry. You must perform, billionaire brother tells Osun governor-elect. Hypertensive man dies as bribe-chasing LASTMA men seize vehicle. Details can be found in page 4 and 5. And marketers are saying removal of subsidy, NNPC import monopoly will end queues. And that's all on the Punch newspaper.
Let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper. On the front page comment, we have NNPC Limited must be new indeed. And if you're interested in that that commentary, you can actually read more of that on page 17 of the Daily Trust newspaper. The big story, which is also on most of our papers, Kaduna train, how ransom blockade triggered hostage beating video. With the rider, presidency react as terrorists threaten to abduct Buhari, VP and others. Federal government attitude boasting their confidence. This is coming from the security experts. And the Northern Group have said video sign of state failure, negative verdict on the federal government. And we can see a picture of the kidnappers and also a picture of those that are in the captive of this den of these kidnappers. Other stories here, we have prepare for flood, NIMET tells the northeast and the southwest states, and I think we've said this over time, how we need to take care of our drainages to avoid this flood. And here we can see the NIMET are actually telling the northeast and the southwest states. So we hope that most of the people around there will watch out for this flood and also see what they can do to avoid floods in their various farms and even houses and other resident areas around there.
And most importantly, they need to vacate such places because we've had stories where flood wipe away people, families, and even the farmland. So they should vacate such places. And we just hope that NIMET will have a place where they can harbor these people for a short period of time, so that when the rain is over, then they can look out for ways they can build more drainage system and even improve on their houses, so that we'll not have this. And we need to advocate on and advise people more on building on waterways. You need to allow water pass. People that build on waterways, we need to look for all those people, and then those houses need to be cancelled and ensure that they don't build, because after cancelling, some people still go ahead and even build in such places. After cancelling, there should be supervision that people don't build in such places. We need to be proactive about all these things and know that this issue of flood is no play, because we saw where it happened in Kogi State, where it wiped away farmland, families, and up to date families are still lamenting concerning this. So we need to be careful places we build, and also we need to have these waterways so that water can easily pass through such places.
Of course, and I think this should be also to commend the government when they say they want to go on banning illegal mining, because the more you keep digging, we are creating erosion, and this erosion can also give birth to flooding. So I think this is another way that the government of these various states can work together with the NIMET and also see how we can avoid such. And the last story I'll be taking on the Daily Trust, say government policy responsible for Nigerians' high inflation. This is coming from the World Bank chief, and I hope that we'll do more to check our policies and how we can make life bearable for Nigerians. And that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
Thank you very much, Sally. On Nigerian News Direct, on aviation fuel, passengers to pay more as Jet A1 hits 900 naira per litre. Pantami extols late Maigona as Dantata condoles with minister. Fashola Abiodun trade words over 56 billion naira federal roads. And terrorists threaten to kidnap Buhari, El Rufai, and other politicians as federal government declares threats as mere propaganda. On ASU strike, grievances, controversies of interest heightened to push forth NLC Tuesday, Wednesday protest. And 1000 World Bank ranking, 13 years on, Zenith Bank remains number 1 by Tier 1 capital in 2022. On the economy, Dangote Petrochemical plans to position Nigeria's polypropylene hub in Africa. PLWD Act, Bankole urges governors to stop domestication of discrimination. And details can be found in page 4, and that's all on the Nigerian News Direct.
And on Daily Independent, how Aero contractors' $3 million deposit for aircraft was diverted, with the rider aviation stakeholders slam AMCOM for the airlines wars. You can read detail of that from the paper. And on the train attack victims, we won't yield to terrorist propaganda. This is coming from the presidency. And the big story, banks steadily yielding digital banking space to fintechs. Implementation of negotiating agreement with N-Strike. This is coming from ASU. Orange Telecom vows to enter Nigerians' big market, with detail on page 6. And on Ekiti election, Serap sues INEC for failing to prosecute vote buyers, with detail on page 29. And I remember during an interview with the chairman of INEC, he said that they do not have any police that is being attached to them to prosecute vote buyers. And I think this would be a request, or possibly they can actually itemize that and actually send it to the presidency or even the government, so that whoever is caught buying votes or doing any other thing or any malpractice can actually face the full rod of the law at the end of the day. So I think no matter what it is, it has already been given to INEC the responsibility to be able to prosecute anybody that is caught doing anything illegal. So I think this should be itemized to the presidency on what they need to do to be able to help INEC to, you know, persecute those involved in that. Other stories still on Daily Independent. Again, Zenith Bank ranks #1 Taiwan bank in Nigeria. 7 million voters so far registered in Lagos. This is coming from INEC. And a reminder also that the voters registration will be ending July. And they have opened their doors that you can also go to their office and get your voters card even on Saturdays and Sundays. And I think we have to applaud INEC for that step. So I think this should be a reminder to all our viewers and those who are yet to register and also collect their PVC to make use of this opportunity and go get your PVC, and let's change the narrative of things. And the last story on Daily Independent, PDP crisis, how are you Obaseki Tambuwal walk against Wike's VP candidacy? You can read detail of that from the paper, and that's all on Daily Independent.
On the Leadership newspaper, Oshibanjo makes quick recovery, thanks Nigerians. Rep summon ministers, others over planned sale of power plants. And mass resignation of software engineers disrupt bank's digitization move. Adeleke family's journey to producing 2 governors and 3 senators. Niger State miners disagree over federal government ban on mining. Army dismisses Lieutenant Colonel for sodomy, demotes 6 others. Zenith Bank retains Nigeria's best bank for 13 straight years. And the big story on the Leadership says, as terrorists torture Kaduna train attack victims, presidency explains why military can't carpet bomb forest now. Blames rising insecurity on lack of support for military. 43 train passengers still in captivity 119 days after. Bandits kill 3, kidnap others in Katsina as police neutralizes 2 in Kaduna. Gunmen kill 3 policemen, Omo Agege's aid in Delta. And we can have a picture story on the front page of the Leadership newspaper where the NYSC Director of Press and Public Relations, Eddie Megu, and the NYSC Plateau State Coordinator, Daniel Rifkatu Yakubu, and NYSC Director General Brigadier General Mohammed Kaku Father inspecting facilities at Plateau State Orientation Camp in Mangu during an inspection of camp facilities at the weekend. And that's all on the Leadership newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the world of sports from the Sporting Sun newspaper. Sister fight Oshime over 300 million naira. Nigerian stars sent off in Napoli training overall. We detailed on page 6. Nottingham Forest drops out of race for Dennis. We detailed on page 6. Napoli wants Simeon as striker partner for Oshime. Anthony Joshua Tweg battle plan for crash. Other story here, we have Messi chapter at Barca not over Laporta. And other story here, Chelsea not ready for Premier League start, says UTR. And you can actually check detail of any of the stories and more on the Sporting Sun newspaper.
And on the Guardian newspaper, IPOB tax federal government on unconditional release of Kanu. Shock as terrorists vow to kidnap Buhari and El Rufai. And the picture story, you can see the condition of our highways. This is a federal road, and we can see that the road is unpliable.
True.
So we need to do something about it. The Minister of Works, the presidency, they need to put hands together. We see that there's an ongoing fight concerning money that was disbursed for the road transport, for the road maintenance of our road, and we saw where it was used the other way around. So we just need more answers. We need people to be accountable for money that have been disbursed on looking at on our highways. We record accidents on our highway, and it's because of the condition of our road. With the road, our roads need to be on good condition so that it can be pliable. Then we'll not have issues of accidents even on our highways and even terrorists using it as a hideout to be able to abduct people. So our road need to be in good condition. We look out for how it can be done and when it should be done, and we just hope that it will be done very soon. Consumers firms brace for higher price amid energy crisis. The rider following the story says OPS says production costs up by almost 100%. Manufacturers cite dwindling capacity utilization, inventory and profitable. Telecos, power costs grown as diesel costs go up 141.5 billion naira in 5 months. MNOs already spent 6 times what was expended on diesel in 2021. And diesel hike forces companies to review workforce, says food union. Lingering fuel shortage undermining listed firms' growth will impact half-year financials. Multiple unconnected third parties corroborate Atiku's position on Tinubu. Details can be found on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government confirms 16 new cases of monkeypox from 12 states. Gunmen kill 8 persons, abduct others in Plateau and Katsina. The last story on the Guardian newspaper, delegates collected money to vote at primary, says Amechi. And that's all on the Guardian newspaper. But before we move to other papers, we'd like to take a time out where we'll be right back and our phone lines will be opened for your contribution. We're live on Facebook. Do well to drop your comments. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying tuned on the dailies on Equa Television. At this point, our phone lines are opened. Do well to call us and drop your comments also on our official Facebook pages. We've been discussing stories making rounds. We had where the threats made by terrorists and also the condition those who were abducted are going through even in these places. And we have the ASU strike, the lingering ASU strike, and also the protest union joined by the NLC and even the electricity officers joining this protest. We'd like you to call, comment, and even other stories that are affecting you. We'd like you to call us and comment on this and drop your comments on our Facebook pages. So I would like us to continue with other papers, and now we'll have the Matrix newspaper.
Okay, and the Matrix newspaper on 2023, we were born Nigerians before we became Christians or Muslims, says Adeboye. And I'm really happy that, he's coming out to state this. And I think this is what everybody needs to know. First and foremost, and I've said this and I keep saying it, first and foremost, we are Nigerians before we have our various religious groups. So I hope that we'll realize that. And even when it comes to electing leaders, we will not be after he's a Christian, he's a Muslim, he's a Hindu, whatever religion he is. No, first and foremost, what does he have to offer? Is he truly a believer? And also, if he believes in the system of Nigeria and also in the restructuring of Nigeria and making it a better place, then that should be the person we should go for, regardless of whatever religious group. As far as you will not use your religion to make other people feel very bad, or to use it to elect people, or begin to, select ministers, or begin to select commissioners that are from your own religious group, forgetting the fact that they have nothing to offer Nigeria, then that is where we will stand against that. But if you are selecting somebody that at the end of the day we are sure will do something great, then we are okay.
Okay, we have DM Eze from Nsuka. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please go on with your contribution.
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you. Please go on with your contribution.
Good morning. The threat by right. See, this hello. Hello.
Okay, I think
Please,
this
when
is-
you call, try to move away from your television set so that we can have a smooth connection right in the studio.
True.
Yes.
And still on the Matrix newspaper, expect toll gates on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. This is coming from Fashola. And the Naira exchange rate as of July 25th, 2022, at the official market, we have 430 Naira with 510 GPA, and then Europe, we have 439.99. And at the parallel market, you actually have 625 Naira, and then at the GPP we have 745, and in Europe we have 633 for those who are interested in changing from the dollar to Naira. Other story here, Arsenal road dismissed Chelsea in pre-season friendly. You can read more of that on the metrics. The big story here, insecurity, presidency talks tough. The writer following that story, Buhari vows to crush terrorist banditry. Terrorists threatened to abduct Buhari and El-Rufai. Other stories still on metrics, Kaduna train attack, terrorists release horrifying footages, issues still warning to Buhari and El-Rufai. And the rising insecurity, Buhari split fire, vows to crush bandits and terrorists. And here we can see the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo makes his first appearance since after his successful surgery on his leg at a Lagos hospital recently. Downside of the paper, Atiku asks Nigerians to vote out failed APC, says we'll never had it this horrible. Well, we are waiting to see what the PDP have to offer if they win eventually, and that's all on the metrics.
On Voice of Liberty, federal government tilts towards fresh 7 trillion naira loan as first quarter 2022 revenue disappoints. Osinbajo makes first appearance after surgery, thanks doctors. And on school abduction, we used 60 million naira ransom to buy more weapons. This is coming from Zamfara bandits. Abuja Kaduna train abduction, terrorists threaten to kidnap President Buhari, El-Rufai and flog abducted passengers. The terrorist group who abducted over 60 passengers of the Abuja Kaduna bound train on March 28 has threatened to kidnap President Muhammadu Buhari and Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Alero is saying, I was begged to accept title to ban Zamfara bandit. Alero opens up. Serap sues INEC for allegedly failing to prosecute vote bias. And IPOB reacts as UN asks federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. Terrorists kill 3, kidnap many travelers in Katsina. And on the Kaduna train terror attack victim countdown, 119 days in captivity. We just hope that they'll be released very soon. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
And on Nigerian Tribune, we have Lagos Ibadan Expressway to be completed this year. This is coming from Fashola with detail on page 3. And Labour Congress shun federal government prepares for nationwide protests to support striking varsity workers. With the rider proposed protest not illegal, Falana tells the federal government. Other stories here, another 3 killed, 4 kidnapped in Plateau State. Well, it's becoming rampant out here in this country, so we just hope that more will be done to protect lives and property in various states. 21 communities sacked as herdsmen attack persists in Taraba. 55 of our members still in detention. Protests will continue. This is coming from the Shites with detail on page 2. As Abuja Kaduna train adopters threaten to kidnap Buhari and El-Rufai, why we can't bomb their hideout. This is coming from the presidency. Says president has done what is expected of him as commander-in-chief, and more is expected of him. So while you've given us what you can't do, I believe that Nigerians want to hear what you can do. Other stories here, we have Or one mama killing mother of two brothers dies of shock, with detail on page 25. And on Oshun, I will expose you if you fail to perform as governor, Adeleke tells brother. Detail on page 23. And on water bill, Ijon leaders kick against its reintroduction at NAS, with detail on page 3. And on Oyo 2023 Accord, ZLP PRP governorship candidate missing as INEC displays particulars, with detail on page 24 too. And on the Muslim ticket, Atiku attacks Tinubu again, says his memory may not be what it used to be, with the writer says multiple sources confirm claim on APC flag bearer. Fayemi wants CAN to evoke charter of demands for political leaders. And Yaradua's men regroup for Atiku in Lagos, with detail on page 23 and 24. And we also have a picture story here where we can see the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS at the ride with the commander operating Delta States and others during the feeding mission on illegal of refineries in the community at the another West local government area of Rivers State at the weekend. And that's all on Nigerian Tribune.
On a Nature newspaper, we have South Africa announces plans to assess 85.5 billion climate fund, and this is from the officials. European Union to replace gas from Russia with Nigerian suppliers. Will position Nigeria as polypropylene hub in Africa, and this is coming from Aliko Dangote. EU condemns attack on Odisha's ports after grain deal. And World Health Organization declares monkeypox as global outbreak of emergency. And now we see the outbreak of cholera in 12 states in the country. We just hope that there will be something that will be done about it so that we can curb this outbreak of the monkeypox and even cholera, because it's killing people very fast and children are exposed to this danger. So we just hope that something will be done about the monkeypox and even the cholera outbreak. How artificial intelligence will help drive the future of energy. And the last story on the Nature News, we have pilot driver takes shock win in King George VI and Queen Elizabeth stakes. Details can be found in page 21. African leaders to commit 1% GDP to finance world biodiversity, with details in page 3, and that's all on the Nature News.
And on Vanguard newspaper, we have a presidential interview and more qualified than the APC candidate. This is coming from Peter Obi, the presidential candidate for Labour Party. NBA Olanipuku face-off body of benchers convey emergency season, with detail on page 40. APC's Muslim ticket a slap on northern Christians. This is coming from the retired Air Comrade Suleiman, with detail on page 42. And as INEC moves to turn down its own report for primaries, tension in INEC infighting threatening the 2023 elections. Apabio Lawan may be drawn lifelines. APC PDP some INEC officials in underhand moves. Femi Falana expect criminal persecution of Apabio and Lawan. Activation of court orders delayed. Pressure on Yakubu to compromise commission. Electoral Act 2022 tampered. We stand by the monitoring report received from our state offices. This is coming from INEC. Says commission not under obligation to publish names of those who validly elected. And we have NLC meets ASU and others on solidarity rally. Zenith Bank retains leading position in Nigeria by Tier 1 capital, detailed on page 20. Muslim ticket, again Atiku Tinubu in verbal war. And we have federal government 10,000 megawatts power generation target under fresh threat as generation hovers down. Delegates at APC presidential primaries now regretting their decision. This is coming from Amechi. You can read more of that on page 12. ASR African donate $3 million for deaf initiative in Niger Republic. Lafia Airport reform to be used on social infrastructure. This is coming from the Nasarawa governor. We detailed on page 44, and that's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
And on the TBS, we have macroeconomy out of comfort zone from CPD. Dollar price jumps to record TK 105 in curb market as Pakistan proposal to sell national assets stocks fear in imminent collapse. Saudi-bound workers forced to pay $220 extra per visa. An IFS and BOTS cloud service sector exports group a sector-wise export target for FY23, and that's all on the TBS. But before you continue, I would like to take a comment from Jonah Shamank. He says, regarding insecurity, it shows nobody is safe in this country. This calls for prayer. Definitely it calls for prayers, and it calls out for looking out for one another. Let's be our brother's keeper. So then let's continue with other stories.
Thank you. Still on the world of business from Business AM. Again, aid agency converging on Horn of Africa as US aid offers $1.3 billion. We have on the news nuclear power in resurgence with fuel prices skyrocket. And on finance and investment, Dangote 187.6 billion naira bond closes successfully. And we have a comment here measuring state, local government and tax admins. The big story on Business AM, insurance firm pays $49.02 million as claimed daily for 5 years, says the report. Fire, natural catastrophic, faulty workmanship. Top causes of insurance claim by business. Industry face exposure to Ukraine war. Other stories here on companies and business. Unilever steady ship. PAT up to 167% on energy, power, and renewable. Commercial ANPC in Nigeria, e.g. talk. And we have visionary voice. The world needs a digital lifeline. And on executive knowledge series, keeping customer stick alive. And the last one here, which is on commodities and agriculture, Nigerian shared north needs expansion. And you can read more of that on Business AM. And that's all on Business AM.
And I would like to round up with the Sporting Life newspaper. We have Atletico fans reject Ronaldo's signing. Chelsea fights Man United for Inter drum fires as Pogba limps up after Juve training session. We are beaten by a team that does not play CL football. And we have Bayern makes contact with Kane's representative. Spalletti orders Osimhen to leave training session. FA Cup triumph trails Oparunzi as Costa to replace Umar Sadiq in Spain. Nottingham no longer interested in Emmanuel Dennis as Leicester demanding €50 million for Barnes. Man City fans hopeful after Haaland scores against Bayern, and Conde rejects Chelsea to sign for Barcelona. EPL clubs approach Man City for Wilson S. Brand, and that's all on the Sporting Life newspaper, and that's how far we can go on this program this morning. Thank you, Sele, for doing this with me.
My pleasure.
And thanks to the crew behind the scene for also making this a success. And thank you for your contribution, and thanks for the call also. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same station. Thanks and have a nice day.